taken as a whole, they will be singular. But when we further subdivided into the smallest units, we will use the plural form of the verb. See, like this is amount, right? So this is same applied for the rule which we have discussed in the previous slides, like for amount, money and measurements, right? So when we use these amounts as the single unit as a whole, then it will be singular. But when we are further subdividing them into the smaller units, we'll use the plural form of the verb. Say for example, 20,000 rupees is a handsome salary. So here what singular verb is there. So what is the handsome salary? 20,000 rupees. This is one salary, right? So since it is a one salary, we are using is, which is correct, right? Because it is taken as a singular unit. Now next sentence you see, 20,000 rupees have been split on different useful commodities such as rent, groceries, etc. Here have is a plural form of the verb. So what have been spent on different useful commodities? 20,000 rupees. This is further subdivided into 2-3 parts like rent, groceries, etc. So you are dividing them. It is subdivided into multiple parts. So then we use it as the plural form. So when we use it like this, we'll use it as a plural form. So exceptions are always there. You should understand. So it's a functional grammar. Next slide, please. Now, if you have a number which is a countable number, we are talking about the countable noun, right? It is in the form of a number. Now, before that, if you use the words like a lot of, great deal of, plenty of, most of, and some, they refer to the countable nouns and we will use the plural form of the verb, right? Now see the example. We'll say a lot of people was present in the gallery. Some of the students were absent. So was present is the verb, singular verb. Who was present? A lot of people. So a lot of people is the plural. It's a plural because after them we have a countable noun people. So this we considering as a plural. So we don't need the singular verb. This is wrong. We need the plural verb were over here. The corrected version, you see a lot of people were present. So who were present? A lot of people. So here this is a plural subject. So when this is a plural subject, plural form of the verb is perfectly fine. Now if these expressions refer to an amount, right, which could be an uncountable noun. So pay attention. In the previous one, when we were talking about the number, which is the countable noun, here we are referring to an amount which is considered as an uncountable noun. Now then in that case, a singular verb and will be used because it will be considered singular. Say like if you say a lot of work. Now work is uncountable. So uncountable nouns are always singular, right? So which is why has to be completed before we go. So singular form of the verb has to be completed. So what has to be completed? A lot of verb. So a lot of, say we can't make out. A lot of what? A work. Work is an uncountable noun. So when it is uncountable noun, we will use the singular form of the verb. Whereas in the previous one, it was a lot of people. People is a countable noun, right? So in that case, we have used the plural. Whereas in terms of a lot of work, work is an amount. It is an uncountable noun. Next example, a great deal of work has been finished. So what has been finished? Finished is the, has been finished is the verb phrase, which is the singular verb, right? What has been finished? A great deal of work. Now this work is uncountable, which is always singular. So what? A great deal of what? Work. It takes the number of work. Work is uncountable and it is singular. So we are using it as a singular subject. Singular form of the verb is perfectly fine. Clear? Understand the concept. It will become pretty simple for you to get these questions correct. Next rule. Now sometimes you should see the names of the countries. They are always singular. Now there are certain nouns or the names of these countries which will end with S. Right, so we'll feel as if it is a plural, but we should know that even though they are ending with S, but they are singular, right? It looks as if they are plural, but they are actually singular. See the examples like West Indies, United States, the spelling is ending in S, so we feel they look as if they are plural, but they are actually singular. But in sports, when we are referring to the players, the name of the country is followed by the plural form of the verb. This is something which you have to remember. So in terms of sports, we will use it as a plural. We are referring to the players, multiple players. So we'll use the plural form of the verb. See, England has won the cup. So who has won the cup? That is England. England is a singular subject. So has won is the singular form of the verb, which is incorrect. Because here this England is used as the sports. So when we are using it as the sports, we are considering it as plural because we are referring to players. So players are many. So that's why we will use the plural form of the verb. See the example. England have won the World Cup. So have won is the plural verb. Who have won? England. England is the plural subject, right? So this is plural over here in the first one also because we feel it is singular, right? But we know that it is used in the form of the sport. So we know it's not singular, it is plural, which is why the plural form of the verb have won is the correct form. Clear? Next slide. Now, when you use the word enemy, when we use the word enemy in a sense of armed forces of a nation with which one's country is at war, we have to use the plural form of the verb. Again, I repeat, when the particular word enemy is used is the sense of armed forces, right, of any nation with which one country is at war, one's country is at war. That is time we will consider it as a plural and a plural form of the verb will be used. See, for example, the enemy were forced to retreat. So who were forced to retreat? Enemy. So here enemy it looks as it's singular. But here we are referring to the armed forces. We are referring to the armed forces. So when we refer to the armed forces, it is considered as plural. Hence, the plural form of the verb were forced is correct. Next example. The enemy were pushed back into their own territories by the Indian army. So here the situation of war is happening. So were pushed is the plural form of the verb. Who were pushed? Enemy. It looks it is singular, but we know it is used as the armed forces, referring to the armed forces with which we are at war, right? So it has to be used as the plural now. So that is why the plural form of the verb is correct. Clear? Next slide. Now, if you have a none, after the none, you will have a prepositional phrase which will start with of. Now, the object of the prepositional phrase, if it is non-countable, like uncountable, we can say. In that case, we will use the singular form of the verb. So, see the example. None of the counterfeit money have been found. So, of the counterfeit money, if you see, have been is the plural form of the verb. Money is what? Uncountable. And after the none, you have the prepositional phrase of, and the object of is counterfeit money, which is uncountable. So when it is referring to money, uncountable entity, which is singular, we can't have the plural form of the verb. It has to be a singular form of the verb. None of the counterfeit money has been found. Got it? The subject is none, but it is taking the number of money. Clear? Now, another structure you see, if you have a none and after the none, if you have a plural countable noun, so if you have a countable noun, plural countable noun, in that case the plural verb will be there. See the example. None of the students has finished. So has finished is a singular verb. Who has finished? None. So of the students is the prepositional phrase. Student is the plural uncountable noun. So we have to use the plural form of the verb. This has is incorrect. We'll use none of the students have finished. This plural form of the verb is correct over here. Clear? Next slide. Now, no one can take either a singular, no, that particular word no can be either singular or plural depending upon the noun to which it follows. So, if you after the noun, if you have after the word no, if you have a singular noun, you'll use a singular form of the verb. If after no you have a plural noun, then you'll use the plural form of the verb. Like no example is relevant to this case. Is the singular form of the verb. What is relevant to this case? No. No what? Example. It is a singular subject or a singular noun. So singular verb is correct. Next you see, no examples are relevant to this case. Are is the plural form of the verb. Before that we have a examples, which is the plural noun. Right? So it becomes the plural subject. So we'll use the plural form of the verb. Our subject verb agreement is there. Clear? Next. Now, if you have a number or the number, after, observe the two structures, right? If you have a number and after the a number, you'll always have a number or the number will have a prepositional phrase of. If the object of the prepositional phrase is a plural noun, then it will be used as a plural form and it will be using the plural form of the verb. After the number, if you have a plural noun, it will be used as a, even if you'll have the plural noun, it will be considered as a singular only. See the example. A number of students is going to the class picnic. So a number is there and after that we have students, which is plural. So we can't, a number is there and after that students is a plural, right? It's a plural noun. So how can you use is going? Is going is wrong. It's because it is a singular form of the verb. A number of students are going to the picnic, because the reason is after a number, a plural noun of students is there. So a plural form of the verb are going is correct. Fine. Next example. Like if you see a number of days in week are 7, right? So a number of days, the number, if it is the number of days, not a number, if it would have been a number, then it was fine, but r is fine. But here it says the number of days. Now of days, even if it is plural, we will use the singular form of the verb. This is r is incorrect. It has to be is. See the corrected version. The number of days in a week is 7. Correct. Next one. The number of residents who reside in this colony are quite small. So of residents is a plural one, right? Who resides? Who resides? Who depends upon residents? So reside is the plural form of the verb. Yeah, so now let's discuss the next rule number 16, which is relative to the relative pronouns. See, our relative pronouns are what we have discussed in the very first slide of the pronoun is like who, which, what, that, etc. Now looking at who, which and that, we cannot really figure out whether they are singular or plural, but they are pronouns. So they can act as the subject of the verb, right? So, and the speciality about these relative pronouns is when they act as the subject of the verb, they will be present in the middle of the sentence, right? So these pronouns like who, that, which, they become singular or the plural according to the noun directly in front of them, which is like the noun to which they refers. So if the that noun is singular, we will use a singular verb. If it is plural, we'll use the plural form. So the verb will not be chosen according to who, which and that. It will take the number of the noun to which your pronoun who, which and that refers. Clear? Now let's see the example. He is one of the men who do the work. Now do is the verb, right? It's a plural form of the verb. Now who do the verb is who. Who is the subject over here, right? But we cannot really figure out whether it is singular or plural. So just before that we have the verb noun men, right? It is a plural noun. So who refers to plural men, that is why the plural verb is there and the subject verb agreement is following. Clear? Next example. The word in front of who is, that's what they are explaining it over here. In front of who we have men. Men is plural. Therefore, the use of plural verb do is there. See, do is plural. Whereas does is singular. Remember this. Singular verb ends with s. Clear? Next. Now see the word were replaces was in sentence that express a wish or a contrary to the fact. Right? Now, this is what, if you read this sentence, it's little difficult to understand. I say the word were replaces was in the sentences that expresses a wish or a contrary to fact. So then when we talk about the hypothetical situation, see, we talk about hypothetical situation or some wish, right? Or some imaginary conditions. Something which is not real, right? Something which is not real. In that sentence, was is wrong. The correct verb is were, right? So if I were a prime minister, if I were a prime minister, or if I were a superman, what I could have done, right? So this time you cannot say was, here were, because you are imagining, you are hypothetically talking about, you are assuming, right? So if, and then see, if the teacher were here, that means you are imagining if the teacher would have been here. You did have to answer the question. So this is the imaginary condition. The teacher is singular, but the verb were is used. because it is a imaginary or a hypothetical situation which is there, right? But the teacher is not actually not here. It is just you're assuming. That is why we know that when the assumptions are there, where the hypothetical situations are there, we use were over there, right? So the sentence shows that the things are hypothetical. We are wishing, imaginary, factual, contradictory in such sentences were used. Clear?
So fine, now let's move ahead to the 18th rule, which says that how exactly our word many can be used in different ways, right? So there are two different ways in which we can say the many. Many can be used as only many A or many N, or we can just say many, right? There are different ways how we consider many A or many N. If a many A or A is there, in that case, it will be singular. See the example, many a student is standing in the canteen. So is standing is the verb phrase, and then we say who is standing in the canteen, many a student. So when many a student or many a something noun is there, then it will always be singular, right? So that is why the singular verb is there. So you should remember that many A or many N is singular, right? See the next example. Many students were standing in the canteen. Were standing is the verb phrase, right? So which is the plural verb. This is the singular verb phrase in the previous one. Now we have the plural verb phrase over here. So who was standing? Many students. So here many is used alone. So it is a plural subject, right? So only many is used as plural. Fine. This is just simply you have to learn like this only. Many A or many N is always singular. Many A, many N singular. Only many is plural, right? So you see the third example, a great many students. So if you say a great many students were standing in the canteen. So were standing is our plural verb phrase over here. Then who was standing in the canteen? Many students. So many students is our plural subject because many is alone. There is no article, which is why the plural subject, plural verb, subject verb agreement is there. The point over here is only many is plural. Many N is always singular. Now, but if each, every or one is followed by of, then the word of will be followed by a plural noun, right? But the verb and the pronoun used in the sentence will be singular. So you should remember that each, every, one. If after them, if something like of is there, that is a preposition. The object of preposition will always be plural, right? Because one, each, every, you will take out each from many. You will take out every from many. You will take out one from many. So after the of, the object of prepositional phrase will be plural. But the verb and the pronoun which will be using referring to them will be singular. Because they are always singular. See the example, one of the girls or them has made a card for her teacher. So here of the girls or of them is the prepositional phrase over here. So object of prepositional phrase girls and them is plural. Right? This one is singular. If one is singular, the subject is one only, na? Subject is singular, subject one. So the verb is has made, which is the singular verb. Now, who has made a card for her teacher? Because girls is there. So you will take one from many girls. So which is why her is the singular pronoun. Clear? Next slide, please. Indefinite pronouns. Like rule number 18 only we are continuing. If one of the subject of the sentence and the pronouns will be used like one, oneself, etc. Because that is what consistency I say, right? If once you have used one in the sentence, throughout you have to use one only. Say like if you have used first time one, the second time will be once, oneself. You cannot use him or himself because then the person will be changing, right? One should complete his work in time. So one should complete his work. So his refers to some boy or a male, right? But here we are using one. How can you use his? It is wrong. We have to use once. One should complete one's promise or one should complete one's work. That is fine. But this, his is wrong. One should keep one's promise. So here one is there. The second time you have used once. This is perfectly fine. Clear? Next, so maintain the consistency. If you have used one then throughout the sentence use one only. Like related, another pronouns which are used with one, like one, once, oneself. If you have used he, then you use his, him, himself. If you have used she, then it should be she, her, herself. Clear? Next, in optative sentence, the verb used is always plural, right? Irrespective of the subject. Even with the singular subject, the verb will be plural. That means when you are giving some blessings, right? Always plural verb. The subject will always be plural because they always consider for everybody. So always plural form of the verb will be used. So we'll not focus on the subject. Say God saved the world. So now save is always the plural form. Long live our Prime Minister. So it's again live is the plural form. May he achieve success. So again achieve is in the plural form. So we have always the plural form when we are giving the blessings. Clear? Fine. Blessings are always for everybody. Right? So fine. Let's move to the next. So amount of or quantity of plus uncountable noun, the verb used will be singular. Now what you have is, you have any amount, the word amount, and after that you have of. After that any quantity will be there, right? Amount of anything, the amount of, the word which represents the quantity will be there. Uske baad mein that will be of any uncountable noun will be there. The verb will always be singular because it is uncountable. Uncountable nouns are always singular. So when you have amount of the singular noun, then it will always be the singular form of the verb. See the example. The amount of sugar are not sufficient to prepare a cup of tea. So here are is the plural form of the verb. So what are not sufficient? The amount of sugar. So the amount is the subject over here. Immediately after that have of sugar. Sugar is your uncountable noun. So if sugar is uncountable, we know it's always singular. So we will use the singular form of the verb. So that is why R is wrong. So it has to be the amount of sugar is not sufficient to prepare a cup of tea. Next, the amount of money is not sufficient. So is the singular form of the verb. We'll ask what is not sufficient? The amount of money, right? So the amount is the subject over here. But after that what you have of money. Of money is also again uncountable. Money is also uncountable. So we know it has to be singular. So when it is singular, is correct. Clear? See, use your common sense, use logic, try to understand, don't try to mug up. Clear? Because looking at the amount, how will you judge singular or plural? So amount of what? If it is referring to an uncountable entity, definitely it has to be singular only. Clear? Next. Now the another pronoun all is there, right? It could be treated as both singular and the plural. But now it depends upon, we should know the conditions. When you will consider it as singular, when you will consider it as the plural form. That is what we will discuss in rule number 21. So when it refers to persons or things, right? Remember, so if you have a all and it is referring to some persons or things, at that case what will be there? It will be referring as the plural form. All the other times, if it is not referring to any person or a thing, then it will be taken as singular. So if it refers to person or things, then it will be plural. So if not, it will be singular. So which is simple. So if all, the word all is your subject. Now if it refers to either a person, persons or things, then we'll use the plural form. However, if it is not referring to persons or things, we'll use the singular form of the verb. See the example. All are waiting for the principal to arrive. So are waiting is the plural form of the verb phrase over here. Now who are waiting? All. Now all is referring to what? All is referring to persons. Right? It is referring to persons, that is the plural, which is why plural form of the verb is used. Clear? Now all is well at home. Is the singular verb. Now what is well at home? All. Now is this all referring to either a person or persons or things? No, it's not referring to, not to either persons, things. So when it is not referring to persons or things, it will be singular. So it is correct. Right? All are well at home. So are is the plural form of the verb. Who are well at home? All. Over here the all is referring to persons. That is why the plural verb is correct. Clear? Let's move ahead to the next slide. Now, we have the other words like furniture, advice, work, evidence, equipments, news, information, luggage, baggage, percentage, poetry, knowledge, dirt, dust, traffic, electricity, music, breakage, stationery, scenery, confectionery, pottery, bakery, crockery, behavior are all uncountable nouns. Remember, these are the examples of our abstract nouns and the material nouns. So we know that abstract and the material nouns are what? They are always singular. They are uncountable. So simple thing, when abstract or material nouns are functioning as the subject, they are always singular, and hence they are singular. We'll use always the singular form of the verb with them. See, the scenery of Himachal was very beautiful. So was is the singular verb. So what was beautiful? Scenery was beautiful, right? Scenery is a singular noun. Of Himachal is the prepositional phrase. So singular noun, singular verb. Subject verb agreement is there. Fine. Great. Next one. I passed but the percentage of marks was not good. So was is the singular verb. What was not good? The percentage was not good. Of marks is the prepositional phrase, and we know the object of prepositional phrase cannot be the subject. So the percentage is singular. It's a singular subject, which is why singular form of the verb is clear. Right? Fine, the point is clear of rule 22. Next. Now we have another words. Like they look like plural. See, it is a revision of what we have discussed in our nouns chapter. I have given you the list of all these words, and we discussed that these are all the names of instruments or things which we can divide into two parts, right? So like this is there, symmetry is there, sunglasses ke liye, goggles, pajamas, shorts. They look like they are plural, but they are actually singular. So if these words are acting as the subject, then obviously they are singular subjects. So if they will be singular subjects, what kind of the verb will use? We'll use the singular form of the verb. It's all dependent on what you have understood in forms of your nouns, right? So if you pay attention, if you would have learned these examples in your nouns chapter itself, then definitely you will not have problems. So if you have not learned the easy way to remember this, I have already discussed in nouns chapter. Go back to that lecture. Go ahead, read, learn, understand, and then come here. So see, they look like because they are ending with S. So it is generally thought that the words with S ends with S or ES, they are plural, but they are ending with S, but they are all singular. Like achieves, areas, auspicious, congratulations, embers, fireworks, lodging, savings, remains, riches, regards, proceeds, particulars, surroundings, tidings, furnishings, forceps, bellows, trousers, pants, pajamas, eyeglasses. They are always singular. Fine. Next. So these are the examples of the nouns. These nouns. So whatever the previous slide we have done, they are always plural, and the plural verb is used.
You can learn any subject, anywhere, any place, and on the go. Come, let us go the other way in learning. Download our revolutionary app for free.